Thank you, Murph and Gary, for inviting me to the webinar. And I'm excited to be here with you guys and show you what I know about QuickBooks Advanced Inventory. My email is hector@garciacpa.com. I know there's always people wanting to clarify some things. Just email me. I'm pretty good at answering the email. The content for today will be about 10 minutes, 15 max, talking about all the theory, all the concepts. They're really important to keep in mind, those concepts, because those are particularly important to know ahead of time before implementing or installing QuickBooks Enterprise Advanced Inventory. If you email me, I can send you the deck of the slides as well, if you need them, because some people ask for those. And we're going to do about 30 minutes of demonstration, and we'll leave it to the last 5 minutes to do questions and answers. I know Murph and Gary will be answering questions behind the scenes as I do the presentation, but we'll leave the last 5 minutes open for questions just in case. So let's start with the concept: advanced inventory and advanced pricing. It's considered to be an add-on. Okay, so the core QuickBooks Enterprise software, which nowadays when you go purchase it is called the silver subscription, does not come with these two add-ons. You actually have to purchase or pay the annual QuickBooks Enterprise Platinum subscription in order to have access to these two features: advanced inventory and advanced pricing. Pretty much, if you purchase QuickBooks after October of 2014, you are under a subscription of some sort, and you're going to be either on a silver or a platinum. There's a gold also, but that's only for payroll. So you're going to be silver or platinum. Silver will not have it, platinum will have it. If you purchased QuickBooks Enterprise before October of 2014, it is possible that you're still paying the annual service plan, the full service plan. And if you do have an active full service plan, those features will indeed be included within the full service plan. So long story short, if you are paying the annual fee to Intuit, you are having access to these features. So let's start with advanced inventory. Advanced inventory adds 4 additional features of functionality to QuickBooks Enterprise. One of them is FIFO inventory valuation, and we'll discuss some of the details around that. The other one is multiple inventory sites, which also contains the ability to do bin locations within a site. So it's an inventory location within an inventory location. You can actually add lot numbers to all your inventory purchases and serial numbers, so you can track your inventory by lot number or by serial number. It's not both, it's either or. Okay. And then the last add-on feature that you get with advanced inventory is barcode support. And we'll discuss some of the details about barcodes, just because there's a lot of confusion about what does barcodes actually do and what can you do with it. So we'll discuss that. That will be part of what we discuss here. So let's start with advanced pricing real quick. So we're not going to get into a demo on advanced pricing. Gary, Morph, and I, we discussed, squeezing advanced pricing in here, but we decided not to, just because advanced pricing sort of deserves its own moment. So hopefully we'll do another episode just on pricing, all the different features of pricing plus advanced pricing. But in a nutshell, if you are working with advanced inventory, it's possible you'll be working with advanced pricing. So let's discuss real quick what it is. Advanced pricing is actually called pricing rules inside of QuickBooks. This is the feature that will replace pricing levels. So if you're working with QuickBooks Pro, Premier, Accountant, Enterprise, you have access to pricing levels. Pricing rules, which is the advanced pricing, will replace it. Now, advanced pricing allows you to create rules where you can take a combination of conditions. You can say, if it's this customer or this group of customers, if it's this item or this group of items, if you apply this class or apply this rep, you can determine a specific discount percentage-wise or a specific price for the items. You can also combine them. You can actually take multiple combinations of discounts and combine them and have them add up on top of each other, or you can make them exclusive, so you can only use one or the other, that sort of thing. Plus, you have the capacity to expire those rules, so you can have a pricing rule that's only for November, only for the summer, only for the winter, until Christmas, whatever. So that's advanced pricing in a nutshell. let's jump into the first major feature of QuickBooks Enterprise Advanced Inventory, which is FIFO inventory valuation. So all other versions of QuickBooks, Pro, Premier, Accountant, and the regular Enterprise will run inventory valuation at average cost. And we're gonna do an example. And I know most of, if not all of the people listening and watching are going to know what average cost is and what FIFO is, first in, first out. But it's always fun to see it in QuickBooks and kind of see it behave and how that affects my reports. So we're going to show that. But also it's really important to keep in mind, if you have an existing QuickBooks file with inventory, whether it's Pro, Premier, or maybe an older version of QuickBooks Enterprise that didn't have FIFO valuation, you are going to enable FIFO and it will require you a start date. It will require for you to put a start date, and from that start date forward, it will recalculate in FIFO. From that start date backwards, it will leave it in average cost. That way you don't restate financial statements. One really important piece is when you enable FIFO, you're going to reinstate all your profit and loss and all your balance sheets. Those are going to change because you have a new cost of goods sold amount and you have a new inventory asset account amount. So it is important that if you do that change, you also have to keep in mind that you may have to get a special permission from the IRS, as the IRS requires you to send a form for a change of accounting method. The second major feature is multiple inventory sites or bin locations. So bin locations are going to be a site within a site. You can track inventory across multiple locations, so you can track the same product, the same item per se, different quantities in different locations, and you can even transfer. You can transfer from location A to location B, and you can even transfer across bins. Now, bin locations are sub-locations for the inventory sites. So if you've been working with QuickBooks for a while, you're familiar with accounts and sub-accounts, and then customers and jobs and items and sub-items. So this would be sort of a sub-location or a sub-site. So just think of a location within a location, and that gives us some interesting additional features. Now, there are two examples in which I can tell you working with multiple inventory sites could be interesting workarounds for something that you would not normally have thought you would need the feature for. One of them is consignment. A lot of businesses have only one location in which they store their inventory, but they have some of their products out in 7, 8, 9 stores, and they're in consignment. That means that your client, the business, still owns that inventory until it's sold. Now, one of the biggest challenges with QuickBooks is keeping track of what's out in consignment, because QuickBooks doesn't have consignment tracking. The closest thing you'll have that is multiple inventory sites or multiple site locations. So you would have to have each of your customer consignment shops as an inventory location, and that could be the only possible way for you to know where your inventory is. The other interesting workaround where inventory sites can be useful is to know the status of your inventory, especially for a product that you're tracking that has a long lead time. Okay, so one of the common cases here in the Miami area, we have a lot of people that import from China. And then in some cases, the product can be at the warehouse location ready to be picked up. It could be at the truck that takes it from the warehouse to the port. It could be in the ship, right inside the ship, already departed the port. It could be in the port of arrival in the US somewhere. It could be sitting in bond, waiting for us to maybe re-export it and send it to somewhere else in the world. Or it could be in a truck making its way from the port into a warehouse location. So many times people ask, hey, how can I track the status of the inventory, where it is? That way our salespeople can have a close estimation to when the stuff or the product will be available for their customers. And there was never truly a way to do that in QuickBooks. So the only possible way to do that is to create each of these statuses as an inventory location, and then having the QuickBooks user transfer inventory from location A to location B as that status changes. And then when you pull the reports, you know exactly where the inventory is. So those are two interesting workarounds for using those features. Now, the third major feature is lot number and serial number. In my opinion, this is probably the one that gets requested the most for advanced inventory. I would say between multiple locations and lot numbers or serial numbers. Now, one of the issues is it's either or. So you can't have lot numbers and serial numbers. It's either or. And by the way, I've had very little situations in which somebody actually needs both. Typically, you do either lot number or serial number, and that's it. Now, lot numbers do not carry unique historical cost with its own FIFO layers in each lot, or serial number items do not contain unique historical cost. The overall FIFO costing and overall average costing rules still apply. Okay, that's another area of confusion, because I have a client that buys from different lots and wants to know their cost in each separate lot. And you can pull reports to see the purchases per lot, but I can't have that information carry over the financial statements and the P&L based on which lot I sell or which serial number I sell. That's a really important piece to keep in mind. The other restriction that you have is there are currently, as of QuickBooks Enterprise 2016, there are no inventory reports showing quantity by lot number. So you can track the lot numbers, and there's a screen that tells you exactly what's on each lot. And you can go product by product and see what lots are available and that sort of thing. But you cannot have an overall report that shows me all my inventory items and their lots and their quantity by lot. You would have to create an advanced report using QBAR, QuickBooks Enterprise Advanced Reporting, to show something like that. So that's another really important piece to keep in mind, because most people assume that report is there, and it just isn't. Now, let me discuss one note about how to use what's available in QuickBooks with lot numbers and bin locations to potentially track expiration dates. So QuickBooks does not have an option to track expiration dates on products. Okay, very common for produce, for medicine, for those type of products. So there's a couple of ways of tricking QuickBooks into thinking that it can actually track expiration dates. One of them would be using lot numbers as expiration dates. That's assuming that you don't need the lot number for something else. So if you don't need the lot number for something else, that's going to be perfect. Just use an expiration date in lieu of a lot number. Option number 2 is, let's say I do need lot numbers and also need to carry expirations. So what you can do is you can concatenate, or you can combine both numbers. You can have a lot number and then use a delimiter like an underscore, and then you put lot number underscore the expiration date, and that gives the user the visual to know and understand what's the expiration date of each lot. Okay. However, the problem is that you cannot separate the two. You can't say, okay, just show me the lot number or just show me the expiration date. That is not possible. In advanced reporting, it could be, but that's a topic for possibly another webinar altogether. But general rule is, if you combine lot numbers and expiration dates, you're not going to be able to separate them. They basically bound to each other. Now, there's an alternative workaround, which I've actually liked quite nicely, which is if I need to use my lot numbers for what they are, I can use bin locations as my expiration dates. That way, I can actually track with multiple warehouse locations. You can even have one warehouse location, but have multiple bin numbers. And each bin number could be the expiration date or the expiration month. And then you can pull reports by bin number, pull reports by lot number, and potentially use both. So that's just a workaround, but I wanted to add that note in there because it's actually one of the most common questions I have in this world of lot numbers and expiration dates. And the last feature we'll discuss right before we jump into the memo is going to be barcodes. Now, QuickBooks barcode support is extremely simple, right? You can use the barcode to scan each product that you're selling, that you're invoicing, and you can use the barcode to scan each product that you're receiving. Now, so that's, for most people, you think, well, that's good enough. that's all we need it for. However, the place where barcodes are, in my opinion, needed a lot is for inventory adjustments. And there is no barcode support on the inventory adjustment window. So barcodes are only going to be functional for receiving inventory and creating invoices for inventory. Now, in terms of equipment, you can use most single line USB, even if they're Bluetooth, but they have to be USB. Most single line USB barcode scanners work. There's something called a handheld scanner, which is like a computer, basically. It's like a little tiny computer that has, keys and a screen, and it allows you to scan inventory and then bring it back into your office, press a button, and it sync or adjust your inventory the way it works with QuickBooks Point of Sale. That will not be compatible with QuickBooks Enterprise. So once again, handheld inventory scanners are not compatible with QuickBooks Enterprise barcode support. Only USB single line scanners. Now, the recommended scanners is the Honeywell 1300G. It's about $120, or the Honeywell 1202G, which is a Bluetooth. It's not wired, it's Bluetooth, and it has about a 20-25 feet range. Let me show you real quick what the products look like. So I'm going to jump into Amazon here, and this is the 1300. It's about $114 in Amazon. You can get a black or you can get a white, and this works perfectly. Now, I've had many clients spend $20 in eBay for a barcode scanner, and it'll work just fine. But this is the one that actually Intuit recommends, and I wouldn't go cheap on a barcode scanner anyway. It's only $120. If you want to go wireless, you can get the Honeywell 1202G, which is $270. It's wireless from the perspective that it's Bluetooth, but it's not a handheld scanner. It's still not considered a handheld scanner. You still should have line of sight with the computer while you scan to make sure that the scan is actually entering information into the computer the way you want it to. Okay, so let's jump into the product here. If Murph is not interrupting me for questions, that means that there are no questions. So let's jump right into the presentation. First thing I'll talk about is FIFO valuation. So let me pull up my item list first. I just kind of want to show you. I got two items here. Okay, I'm going to show you the first example. I'll show you with this item here called copper. So I'm going to right click on copper and click on quick report. And I already created the report here. So let me pull it here because I had to customize it. Here's my quick report. Where are you? There it is. And you can see that I have bought inventory in May for $1 a piece. Then I bought it in June for $2 a piece. Then I bought it in July for $1.85. So let me go ahead and create an invoice for that product, but I'm going to date it in August. I just want to show you something. So I'm going to date this one in August, and then it's under the August date there. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then I'm going to show you my inventory valuation report. And depending on the date that I pull this report, I'm going to have a different average cost. So right now, as of today, let me pull this back to like maybe August 1st. So as of today, we have an average cost of $1.62. Okay, that is because that took the purchase for $1, the purchase for $2, and then the purchase for $1.85 and average them together. That's average cost. That's how it works. So if I actually roll back this valuation to maybe June, and I'm going to hit refresh, then it's going to say my average cost of let's do May. I'll start with May here. And then here's my average cost of $1. Why? Because there's one purchase for $1. And then I'm going to roll this up to June and hit refresh. And my average cost is $1.50. Why $1.50? Because there is one purchase for $1 and then a purchase for $1 first, then a purchase for $2 the second time around. So it averages to the 2. So that's the concept of average cost. Again, I was pretty sure that everybody here in this webinar knows the concept, but I just wanted to show you how that affects our QuickBooks to really appreciate why you want to have FIFO. So let me go ahead and close that. And then I'm going to show you a report. I'm going to show you a sales by item summary report. And then I'm going to show you, according to this report, I sold 100 of these units and they cost me $1.62 each. Okay, that's very clear here. The reason why that was $162 each is because the invoice, I'm going to pull up the invoice, because the invoice is dated in August. So basically, QuickBooks took the opportunity to calculate every single purchase before August to come up with the average cost. But if I roll this back to June, now when this invoice itself is going to cost my cost of goods sold to post in QuickBooks at $1.50 now. So let me hit save here. And now you should see that in the item sales by item summary, now I have a different average cost being posted into that sale. And that's the concept. That's the really important concept, that QuickBooks will recalculate average cost based on the date of the invoice. And when we switch to FIFO, which I'll do it right now, we're going to see a very different behavior. So let me go ahead and click on the edit menu, and then I'll click on preferences. And then I'm going to click here under items and inventory. Okay, right there. And then I'm going to click on company preferences. And then I'm going to click on advanced inventory settings. So that's the button that I press to get into my advanced inventory settings. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And then I have my 4 options, right? Multiple inventory locations, serial lot number, FIFO. So let's start with that one. I'm going to go ahead and click on FIFO there. And then I'm going to say use FIFO starting on, and let me put here July 1st. Okay, that way I'm going to create some new transactions starting July and August, and we're going to kind of evaluate what happens with the sales. Then you're going to see the average cost is not going to change because it's going to use FIFO. So let me hit OK here, then hit OK, and then we'll let QuickBooks do its thing. Okay. Then I'm going to go into my item list here real quick, and we're going to now work with this new item called gold. So, okay, so let's start doing some transactions with gold here. So the first thing I'll do is I'll create a bill, and I'll date this one, say July 31st, and I will buy some gold. Okay, and this time around I'm buying 1 pound for $1,000. Perfect. Let me buy 100 pounds here. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and hit save, and then I'll create a new bill, and I'll make this August. Let's say August. And do August 3rd, and then we'll do the same product, gold, and then we'll buy another 100, but this time around we're gonna buy them for 1,500 pop. Okay. So we're buying inventory. Now our price of gold is going up. Okay. So the big question is, when I go and sell this product, okay, so if I actually go into my inventory valuation report, we're gonna see that our calculated average is $12.50. However, that's not necessarily what's gonna post into my cost of goods sold, because now it's gonna be working with FIFO. Yes, that's my calculated average, but it won't necessarily be what posts into my cost of goods sold. So let me go ahead and create an invoice, and I'll date this one today. And under average costing methods, when I'm finished with this sale, let me buy here, let's say 10 pounds. So under average costing method, when I'm done with this sale, average cost should post a cost of, in this case, $12.50, right? Because that's the average between 1,000 and 1,500. However, because I'm working off of FIFO, let me just select the customer here. That's kind of important. Because I'm working off FIFO, let me go ahead and hit save and close. And let me show you a sales report. Let's do a sales by item summary. And okay, notice that my cost of goods sold here is 10,000, average cost 1,000. And it actually doesn't matter when I do this invoice. If the invoice happens right after I bought it for 1,000, or it happens right after I bought it for 1,500, it doesn't matter, because it's using FIFO. So it's grabbing from the first lot that I purchased and using that as the cost. And until I exhaust all the other ones, my average cost will continue to be 1,000 each. Now, if I go to this invoice, go back to that invoice, and let's say I don't sell 10, let's say I sell 120. What's going to happen is it's going to grab at one price, is going to grab 1,000 each, and another price is going to grab for $12.50. And now you see how the average cost is actually the average between 100 and 1,000, and 20 at 12.50. Right? So that's kind of interesting, right? So it does change your financial statements. It will change your profitability. It will really change the dynamic of not just the financial statements, but how we manage and run the business. Because using our cost based on FIFO could change how we price a product, essentially. Right? So that's FIFO in a nutshell. So let me go ahead and go to the next feature, which is multiple inventory locations. So I'm going to click on the edit menu and preferences. Okay. Then I'm going to click on items and inventory. I'm going to click on company preferences. And then I'm going to click on advanced inventory settings. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn on multiple inventory sites. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on, put a little checkbox in there, turn that on. And then the first question that it asked me is, all right, this is the first time you're turning on inventory sites. That means QuickBooks never knew or understood that there was inventory sites. So there's no historical precedent for putting inventory in a specific inventory site. So the question that it's asking me is, where do I put all the existing inventory? So your answer should be, let me create my, let's say my main location. So I'm going to go to add new, and I'm going to call this one main warehouse. Now, really important, I want to put an address here, and I'll show you kind of why the address is important here. So I'll put an address, Main Street, and I'll put here Miami, Florida 3333. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit OK and continue. And what's going to happen is, I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. What's going to happen is all my inventory is now going to be transferred to that inventory site location. So if I go into the list menu and go to inventory site list, I can actually see one that QuickBooks creates called dropship, and that you can actually get rid of that if you don't want it, get rid of that, or you can leave it there if you want to use it for any purposes. And you have a main warehouse. So now in main warehouse, it's where I have all my inventory right now. If I go to reports and I go to inventory and I do inventory valuation by site, we're going to see that my current inventory, it's going to reside on main warehouse. Now let me go back into my inventory site list here and create another location. So I'm going to go into new, and then I'm going to put here New York location. And then again, I have to make sure I put an address there. So we'll put here East 8th Avenue. Of course, I'm making up this these addresses. Okay. And then I'm going to hit OK. And I have my two locations. So right now, all my inventory is still at the main warehouse. So if I wanted to send some stuff to my New York location, I can simply just do some transfers. So I'm going to click on the inventory menu and click on inventory transfer. And then I can say, all right, today I'm going to transfer from my main location to New York. I'm going to go ahead and transfer some gold. And I'll transfer, let's say, 40 pounds. Okay, that's simple, just a simple inventory transfer. And I'll hit save and close. Okay, so now as I'm looking at my inventory valuation by site, notice that I only have 40 pounds of gold in my main warehouse. If I actually switch this to New York, we're going to see I got 40 in New York. If I switch to Maine, I have 40 in Maine. If I switch to all, I'm going to see exactly what I have on warehouse A and warehouse B. Now let's go ahead and receive some inventory. So I'm going to go into vendors, enter bills. So I'll receive some inventory. So let me receive some more. And let's say I'm going to receive some of the copper. And I'm going to go ahead and receive this into, receive here 500. And I'll receive this straight into New York, right? Because that's where the inventory went straight into New York. And then let's say this was $1.25. And then I'll hit save and close. So as you look at my inventory valuation by site, you see now I have my 500 pounds of gold of copper in New York. Now the other really important thing to keep in mind is sort of one of the common issues I have with clients, especially if I don't have an opportunity to train them, is if you purchase inventory that is supposed to go to multiple locations, you should use a separate PO for each one. Because when you create a purchase order, let me go ahead and order some copper and order some gold, for example. And let's say I want the copper to go to one place and the gold to go to another place. In QuickBooks, there's no way to specify locations in a purchase order per line item. Now, up here on the right, where it says ship to, I can say, okay, ship it to New York, and then it will send them all to New York when I receive the PO, or I can say ship them all to the main warehouse, and then they will automatically populate main warehouse. So let me show you. I'm going to leave it in main warehouse, and then let's say I want to do 400 of these and 600 of these. So again, my suggestion is, let's do 40,000 of these. So my suggestion is to just make sure that you are very aware of your purchase orders and the locations they're supposed to go to. So let me go ahead and hit save and close, and I will now receive the inventory and show you kind of how that works. So as I hit yes here and I pick my PO and hit OK, you're going to see that both items are automatically going to be defaulted to the main warehouse, because that's what we put on the original PO. Now, there's no issues for us switching it at this point. So let's say the gold was supposed to go to New York. So there's no issues for us switching it at this point. And it's a lot easier when it's two different products. But if it's the same product and you had to split it, I recommend you split it on the PO, or just make your life easier, create two different POs. It will be a lot easier to manage. So I'll go ahead and hit save and close. Now, the other interesting report to show, let me close these, is sales by inventory locations. Let me show you. Let me create a new invoice, and I'll pick here gold, and I'm gonna pick the site. See, when I go sell the inventory, I have to now tell it which site I'm selling it from. Now, unfortunately, I don't get a preview to tell me how much is on each location. I would actually have to click on that little button here. This is the availability window. I have to click on that little button to know what's where. So when I look at the button, it says here, I got 40 in the main warehouse and I have 640 in New York. I actually have to click on that button to know where the product is. So unfortunately, I don't get a quick preview here. So I'll know that from the New York location, I'm gonna go ahead and sell 35. And then I'm gonna hit save. And then I'll just kind of duplicate this, make it easier for me. I'll duplicate these and I'm gonna sell 17 from main warehouse. And I just wanna show you a report of sales by inventory location. I'll do a save and close. There we go. So now let me pull a report that will be relevant to this situation. So I'll go to reports and I'll go to inventory, not inventory, I'm sorry, it's under sales. Sales, inventory sales by site. So when I click on this, and let me just do here all, we get to see exactly how much I'm selling of each product per site. So notice I'm selling copper, I sold 100 from the main warehouse, 0 from New York. Gold, I sold 137 from the main warehouse, 35 from New York. So these reports become interesting. I could also pick and choose, only a certain group of inventory locations. I can, close the sites here if I want to, but the sites become really, really interesting here on the columns. So that's just a really important part of the multiple site is also the reports, okay? Because reports are extremely important. Okay, the last piece on multiple inventory locations we'll cover is bin locations. So we'll go to the edit menu, go to preferences, and then we're going to click on items and inventory, and then we'll click on company preferences, and then inventory advanced inventory settings. And then we're going to turn on track bin locations. And basically QuickBooks is telling you, hey, wait a second, because you already started working with inventory, you never really told it where your bin locations were. You never did. And because of that, we don't know where to put, what bin to put them on. So we're going to, by default, move them all to an unassigned bin location. Just like when we created the different multiple inventory sites, it asks you where to put, in what location to put them. this will automatically create an unassigned bin for it. So we're gonna go ahead and hit OK and OK, and we're gonna see exactly what that looks like. So I'm gonna click on the list menu, click on inventory site list, and now you see the main warehouse unassigned, New York warehouse unassigned. Okay, so everything right now is under unassigned and unassigned. So let's say I'm gonna go ahead and create a new bin location. I'm gonna call it front. So let's say we have inventory in the front of the warehouse. So I'm gonna put here front, and then I'm gonna click it's a bin within a site and put their main warehouse. And then I'll create a new one, another bin called back. And then I'll put a bin within the site, and then I'll put main warehouse. This is very typical for, I have clients that do both wholesale and retail, and they want to know what's in the front and what's in the back. We use bin locations for that. It actually works beautiful. So I'll go ahead and hit OK. So now I got my unassigned bin location, which I'm not going to use in the future, my front and my back. So when I actually try to sell something, so let me go ahead and create an invoice, and I'll select here some copper, and I pick which inventory site I want to sell it from. Let's say main warehouse. Then I got my bin numbers, right? So I got in the unassigned bin, I got 42,900, and I have none on the other one. So I'm gonna have to make an adjustment on my bins, which we can do here. It says inventory, and we can do transfer inventory, and then we can actually go from main warehouse to New York location, and hold on, the bin transfer is somewhere else. We go to inventory and then go to adjustment, and then I can do right here. So I can choose my main warehouse, and then I can go from one bin. I can go from one bin to the other if I need to. So I can go from unassigned, and I can put it into a bin location. So I can move things across bins as well within QuickBooks, or the way it's supposed to be from the get-go. Let me just close this. The way it's supposed to be is when I actually receive my inventory. So let's just do a quick inventory retrieval, because you don't want to have this messy adjustments of inventory and transfers of inventory after the fact. You want to receive them correctly. Let's say I want to receive some copper. Let me maximize this. I'm going to receive, let's say, 150 of them, and I'll pick here my site, main location, and then I won't put them under unassigned. I'm going to actually put this ones under back, right? So that way I'm purposely and intentionally, when I'm receiving each of these products, I'm receiving them in the specific bin where they're supposed to. Okay. Now some products are always going to go to one bin, and some products you're going to have across different bins. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save and close. So then when I go sell it, same sort of situation. Let me create an invoice, and I'll pick my copper item. Let me maximize this, and I pick my site location. I also have to pick where I'm going to sell them from. Is it going to be from the unassigned bin or from the back bin? So what's interesting is I don't get the preview on the quantity on the warehouse sites, but I do get it on the bins. Okay, so that's like kind of nice about the bin locations. I get the preview right there. I don't have to press that button to get that warehouse location preview. Okay, now before I move on to the next feature, let's talk about the reports pertaining to bin location. So I'm going to go to reports, inventory, and then I got a couple things. I got items by bin location. So if I click on that one, I can actually choose which inventory site I want. So let's say I'm going to go to main warehouse. Okay, so this is all the products inside my main warehouse, or I can just go specifically and say, what do I have in the back? And then it tells you exactly what you have in the back. Or I can click, what do I have in the front? In this case, we have none. Or what do I have in my default unassigned location? So you actually can choose within an inventory location exactly which bin you're selling from. That becomes really, really interesting. So those are the reports really to look into when it comes to bin locations. If we're going to have quantity on hand by site, we're going to have valuation by site, we're going to have stock status by site, We're going to have assembly storage by site. We haven't even talked about that, but we're going to have pending bills by site and FIFO cost lot history by item. So I'll just show you how that works. So if I click on that one, we do it again, reports, inventory, and you go to FIFO lot cost by item. This basically shows you the FIFO history on all of your products based on the dates. So that's actually more pertaining to the FIFO reports we were talking about. But this is not related to lot numbers. This is related to the FIFO lot. Anyway, so that's it with bin locations and multiple inventory sites. Those are the typical sort of features that we deal with. Let's now move on to the third feature, which is lot numbers. So let me go into the edit menu, preferences, and then items and inventory, company preferences, advanced inventory settings. I'm going to go ahead and disable inventory sites. So for the time being, we're not sort of confused with that or dealing with that. I'm going to click on serial and lot numbers and turn that on and enable it. So I can choose whether to do, like right here, you see the choice. It's either serial numbers or lot numbers, either or. And then I can choose which of my forms are going to be tracking lot numbers on the forms, right? So you want to be able to see those depending on which forms you're going to be dealing with lot numbers. So I'll click on lot numbers there, and then I'll hit OK. And then I'll hit OK. Perfect. So how did the lot numbers work? So right now, as it stands, let me go into my item list. None of my products have different lots. Okay, so if I go into my quick report, none of these are being tracked by lot. Okay, but if I actually start adding lots on them, so let me go into each of my purchases. I'm going to go into each of my purchases here and add a lot number. So I'm going to make this one that lot number, and then I'll hit save and close. And then I'll pick the other bill here, and I'm going to give it a different lot number, and then hit save and close, and then go to my next bill, pick a lot number, save and close. And as I mentioned earlier, we could use expiration dates as lot numbers if you weren't using lot numbers. So let's say this expires in 2018. Okay, you could also use expiration dates like that. Okay, so as I put all my lot numbers in all my products, I'm going to show you exactly how that works when I actually go invoice them. Perfect. And I'll do it on the last one here, just to have them all 100% completed here with lot numbers. Perfect. All right, so let me go ahead and now create an invoice. And I'll pick my copper. And then once I go sell it, let me pick a customer here. Once I go sell it, it asks me specify a lot number. So once I click that drop down, I'm going to see all of my products by lot number and my quantity on hand. So that's actually really, really neat about the way lot numbers work. So it shows you a preview right there and then. So if I wanted to sell these that expire, assuming I'm using an expiration date that expire in 2 years, or one of these by lot number here. So I'll pick 50, this one, and then I'll hit save and close. Okay, so if I look at I can actually play with this inventory quick report and add my lot numbers, so we can actually see all the transactions and the lot numbers. So I can actually track my sales and purchases in my quick report by just adding that lot number column there. It becomes a really, really useful piece of information. Now, when it comes to lot numbers, again, we don't have that many reports, so these are the options that we have. Reports, inventory, and then we're going to have transaction list by lot number. So when I click on that one, I'm going to pick my item, which is copper, and then I'll pick my lot number, and I hit OK. And then we're going to see all of my one purchase that I have with this lot number. Okay, again, I go to reports, inventory, lot numbers in stock, different report altogether. It would tell me item by item what are the lot numbers are physically available. And if I double click on that number, because that's actually the place where I can get the closest thing to a quantity by lot number report, I would have to double click inside of this report the lot numbers in stock, and I would get this report. Now there's no way to print this. Now I don't understand why we can't print it. It seems like a simple thing, but in some cases I have to teach my clients how to do screenshots, so they can do screenshots of this and give the printed version of this to someone. Again, there's no way to pull that type of report unless you export something to Excel or use advanced reporting. Okay, so that's the concept of lot numbers. So let's go ahead and do the last feature. Let me go to the edit menu and preferences, and I'm going to click on inventory and items and inventory, company preferences, advanced inventory settings. Let me go ahead and also turn that off so we can concentrate on one thing, which is barcodes. So under barcodes, there's only one option here, enable barcodes. However, there's a little option down here that is really important to pay attention to, which is the barcode wizard. And the way the barcode wizard works, and I'm going to kind of just show you, I'm going to go to enable barcode scanning and click on barcode wizard. It actually allows me to take current barcodes that are already in QuickBooks, where you could have had the barcodes as the item name, or as the manufacturer's part number, or as the purchase description. And you can actually have QuickBooks automatically copy all those barcodes in there. So I will show you an example. Let me get out of here for a second. Let me go into my item list, and let's say for my gold, I already have my barcode into a custom field here called barcode. So I'm going to click here on barcode and hit OK. So let's say that somebody already took their time to put their barcodes here. Okay, so somebody took their time to add the barcode into a custom field or in the manufacturer's part number. Okay, either or. So I'll show you both examples, and I'll hit OK. And then I'm going to go into my edit menu again, preferences, company preferences, advanced inventory settings, and then go back to barcodes, enable barcodes, and click on that button, open barcode wizard. So I click on barcode wizard, and then I got my options. See, it says, do you want to grab it from the field name, from the manufacturer's part number, or from your custom field called barcode? Really neat feature, because many people that I work with already have the barcode there. Even though they didn't use it, they somehow had the foresight that having it there in a custom field would be useful at some point in the future. So I can pick that, hit next, and then say, look, all my inventory parts and assemblies are going to have barcodes. Nothing else will have a barcode. So we'll go to next, and then finish, and OK. And you'll notice what's going to happen. I'm going to show you in the item list here. Okay, I'm going to go into list, item list, and then I'm going to go ahead and right click and go to customize columns. And then I'm going to click here, barcode image. You're going to see it's kind of cool. And I'll move this up here next to the name, hit OK. You will notice that now each of your items are going to have a barcode in QuickBooks, right? Now, the gold brought in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because that's what I had in the custom field. For copper, I didn't have anything. So what QuickBooks does, when you don't have a barcode, it creates a random barcode for you. And by the way, that may not be an issue, because I have many clients that want to use barcodes, but the product they purchased doesn't come with barcode. So it's kind of up to them to create their own barcode. So if you allow QuickBooks to create your own barcodes, that's okay. Because, let me hit OK here, because you can actually print all your barcodes if you had a label printer. So if you go to File, and you go to Print Forms, and you click on Labels, and then let's say I'm going to click on Item Barcodes, and I'll click on All Items, and then I hit OK. And then I can use a regular printer if I happen to have, let's say, one of those Avery mailing labels that have like 12 labels per sheet in an 8.5 by 11. You can do that. Or you can use something called a label printer. And let me just switch over my screen to Amazon real quick just to show you what that looks like if you already have one or if you're going to purchase one. So something called a thermal label printer, as long as it's USB, as long as it's compatible with Windows, you can actually print them on these thermal labels that have much higher quality, and it will last longer than just basically a laser printer. So if you have a thermal laser printer like this, you can actually print the barcodes onto labels like this, and you can stick them into your product yourself. That way, when you actually go print the labels, you go to label printer and you pick the label format. So let's say it's 1 inch by 2 inches, whatever it happens to be. And then I click preview, and then you're gonna see exactly what that's gonna look like on each of the pages when you go print it. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Of course, it's not configured with the drivers and stuff. That's why it looks awkward like that. But normally, when it prints out perfectly, totally legible like this. So you can actually use the barcodes, and the item name, the description, and the barcode number actually gets printed on the label as well. All right, let me show you an actual transaction with the barcode. So let me pull up an invoice here. This will be the last example that we'll do. So let's say I'm going to sell something with that has a barcode. So instead of clicking on the drop down menu here and picking the item that I want to choose, I would actually grab my barcode scanner, grab the product, scan the barcode, and I'm just gonna sort of just type that in there just to show you. So that's the barcode that you would scan, and the minute that the barcode reader reads it, QuickBooks will convert. I don't know if I did that too fast. You'll convert that code to an item. So let me just do that again, just to make sure that everybody sees it here. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I want you to kind of just focus on this item here. So the minute that I actually scan that, and I'm going to hit tab on the keyboard just to show you, but the minute I scan it and you hear the beep, that's going to convert it to the item code, and basically you don't have to type the item name in there. You can use the barcode for what you wanted to use the barcode, which is automate the item picking process. And the more you enter that barcode in there, you enter it twice, 3 times, 4 times, that sort of thing, that's going to increase the quantity. So if I scan it again, it changes to 2. If I scan it again, it changes to 3. Scan it again to 4. Scan it again to 5, and that sort of thing. Obviously, you're not watching me scan it, but that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm scanning it, and it just increases the quantity. So that's pretty much how barcodes work in a nutshell. All right, so I think I'm done here. Let me switch over to my last slide. That just basically has my email, and then I'll leave it up to questions. I don't know if there are questions, Gary or Murph, are there any outstanding questions for me?